WJR.
Michael Fezzey is not only the President and General Manager of News Talk 760 WJR, the great voice of the Great Lakes. Mr. Fezzey is also a member of the Board of Directors of the Detroit Economic Club and will be your presiding officer, ladies and gentlemen, for this meeting. So please join me in welcoming Mike Fezzey.
Thank you, Beth, and good afternoon. I say this a lot privately. I want to say it publicly. Beth Chapel has done to this club what very few people have been able to accomplish anywhere. We owe her a round of applause and our appreciation for what has happened in the Detroit Economic Club since she joined. Thank you, Beth. Not only are the people at Marathon nice people, they're incredibly smart people, as I have learned with the last few hours being spent with Mr. Cazalot. Before I get into his background, introducing him and getting out of the way so you can listen to what he has to say to you, which is very important. On a personal note, I want to say thank you to Marathon. You have heard the Marathon messages on WJR radio consistently for almost 50 years. They are the longest running partnership with our particular company, and it has been a great relationship, great friendship, and many of you don't know all the ways in which they have served this community through the different efforts and initiatives that we have brought to them to support. So we owe them a debt of gratitude, and I want to say thank you for those years of friendship and relationship and business. Thank you very much. We know that Marathon is a leading company in the industry. What you might not know is how much they mean to our community. Marathon's Detroit refinery is Michigan's only petroleum refinery, staffed by about 300 people, and the refinery processes 100,000 barrels per day of crude oil, which is then turned into a mix of gasoline and diesel, asphalt, and other products. As hungry as we are for good news in these parts, I certainly hope that Mr. Cazalot will share with us today, and I think the board is voting today or tomorrow, on their plan to invest nearly $1.5 billion in the Michigan refinery and bring hundreds of jobs to our region. So we owe you a debt of gratitude for that as well. Prior to joining Marathon in 2000, Mr. Cazalot served as Vice President of Texaco and President of Texaco's worldwide production operations. He reached those leadership positions at Texaco over the course of a career that started when he joined the company in 1972. He is a geophysicist by training. I'm lucky I can even say it. That's where the really smart part comes in. He's recognized for his leadership in guiding all aspects of the Marathon business, from its exploration and production business, its top-tier refining, marketing, and transportation business, to its integrated gas segment. Mr. Cazalot serves on the board of directors, now listen to this, of Baker Hughes, the U.S. Saudi Arabian Business Council, the American Petroleum Institute, the National Association of Manufacturers, the Greater Houston Partnership, and the Executive Advisory Board of the Houston Minority Business Council. He is also, take a breath, a member of the American Association of Petroleum Geologists, the Texas Governor's Business Council, the National Petroleum Council, the 25-year Club of the Petroleum Industry, the All-American Wildcatters Organization, and the Business Council, something you may have joined this week. We haven't updated the list, but many of our friends from Findlay, Ohio, and from Marathon around here today have joined us, including our dear friend Gary Heminger, who you've met. They joined us today, and let's give a great Detroit Economic Club welcome to an American serving America, a man who is best in the long run at fueling the American spirit. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President and CEO of Marathon Oil, Clarence Cazalot.
Michael, thank you very, very much for that kind and generous introduction. And
Yeah, I think when our board looks at the number of things I'm involved in, they wonder if I'm doing what I should be doing. But let me say first of all that I want to thank the Detroit Economic Club for this great opportunity to come in and address this very prestigious organization. And I certainly want to make the time that you're taking out of your valuable schedules worthwhile today. But I do want to start out by recognizing again the students that I had the opportunity to meet with earlier, and I wish all of you could have the opportunity to interact with these young people, because I'll tell you, every time I do it, as I did here today, it gives me great faith in the future of our nation in terms of the quality of our young people and the kinds of questions and engagement that they have with us. One of the questions we got here actually referenced what our cash position was at the end of the second quarter and why we weren't investing more in the business. And great question. I will raise that with my chief financial officer. But I really am here today to talk to you about what I believe is one of the most important challenges facing our nation, and that is establishing and ensuring our nation's energy security. There's a lot of rhetoric today about something called energy independence. It's my view, some may agree or disagree, is that energy independence is neither possible nor is it desirable. In fact, calling for energy independence creates uncertainty amongst our international trading partners and actually hinders investment in new international energy supplies. The real key for us is energy security, which I define as having an adequate, reliable, and sustainable supply of energy to meet the needs and aspirations of private citizens, commercial enterprises, and public sector functions. Part of that security, though, means that we need to ensure environmental sustainability. We also need to ensure that the cost of our energy is similar to that of other nations so we can maintain our economic competitiveness. I want to begin with a discussion of global overview of energy supply and demand. There's one indisputable fact that impacts not only our nation, but the world as a whole. Quite simply, it is that global demand for energy will continue to increase dramatically, driven in large part by world population growth from 6.5 billion people today to 8 billion people by 2030, as well as the strong desire of developing countries to achieve economic prosperity. Secure, affordable, accessible, and ample supplies of energy are absolutely essential to both economic growth and a reasonable standard of living. So it's only natural to expect that the developing countries, with both their growing populations and economies, are going to drive increased demand for energy. The world's two most populous countries, China and India, are the best examples of this. And we've all seen in recent times how aggressive these two countries have become in seeking to increase and diversify their future energy supplies. Let me put some numbers around this. The International Energy Agency projects that global energy demand will increase over 50% between 2007 and 2030. And about 70% of that increase is going to be in developing countries. And it just so happens that those countries are going to rely disproportionately on fossil fuels because of the lower cost nature of those fuels. And let me say, this projected 50% growth in demand isn't unconstrained. It actually builds in and assumes significant energy efficiency improvements and a reduction in energy intensity. Without these assumed efficiency gains, world demand would almost double by 2030.